I'm the founder of American Women Writers National Museum, and this is our 50-state program for the month of May. Every month, American Women Writers National Museum honors women writers from 4 states, and we select them by discussing them with the state center for the book sometimes. We have scholars who select them, and we have 3 women writers from each state. So we just concluded our program for May with Dr. Trudy Harris, who has graciously agreed to remain and do one of the excerpts. But we're going to begin first with the writers from, Kathy, let's see, what state is this?
Indiana.
From Indiana. And the writers, I'll read them first, and then I will let her introduce herself, Kathy, who's going to read excerpts from one of the book. And the women writers from Indiana are Madeline Pugh. I Love Lucy scriptwriter and author, an Indianapolis native. Madeline Pugh, 1921 to 2011, is best known for her work on the iconic television comedy series. She is credited with creating the character Lucy, a beloved fixture in American culture. Pugh also worked on the spin-off series Here's Lucy and the Lucille Ball-Desi Arnaz Show, as well as other popular television programs. Throughout her career, Pugh was nominated for an Emmy several times, won a Golden Globe Award, was named Times Woman of the Year by the Los Angeles Times. Meg Cabot, born in Bloomington in 1967, is an author of romantic and paranormal fiction for young adults. She has written over 50 books. She is best known for her series Princess Diaries, and I think that's what Kathy is going to read from. It was later made into 2 Disney movies. Cabot has been nominated for an Edgar Allan Poe Award and a Queen of Teen Award. She has received the New York Public Library Books for Teens Award and the Evergreen Young Adult Book Award. Born in Highland in 1957, the third and last writer, Deborah Kemp, writes historical fiction novels. Kemp draws mainly from Arthurian legends and names them as the inspiration for her House of Pendragons book series. She was a finalist for the 2005 Ebby Award and the Dream Realm Award. I'm now going to introduce Kathy Yarborough, who I believe is Director of Development at the University of Alabama, and she has very graciously agreed to read some excerpts from the Princess Diaries. I might add that these people that I recruit to do these experts have no rehearsal time, and yet they are such gracious ladies, and they do a tremendous job. So keep that in mind with the reading. And Kathy, could you just introduce yourself briefly?
Thanks, Janice.
You'll be reading from the Princess Diaries.
Kathy Yarborough from the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I'll be reading an excerpt from the Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot entitled Thursday Night. Grandmere decided that for my lesson today, we would go to dinner somewhere outside of the hotel so she could teach me how to deal with the press. Only there wasn't a whole lot of press around when we went outside, just some kid reporter from Tiger Beat or something. I guess all the real reporters had gone home to get their dinner. Plus, it's no fun for the press to stalk you when you're ready for them. It's only when you least expect them that they come around. This is how they get their kicks, at least as far as I can figure out. Anyway, I was pretty happy about this because no one needs the press around yelling questions and setting off flashbulbs in your face. Believe me, as I see it, I see big purple splotches everywhere I go. But then I was getting into the car, hands brought around, Grandmere said, "Wait one moment," and went back inside. I thought maybe she'd forgotten her tiara or something, but she came back out a minute later looking no different than before. But then we pulled up in front of the restaurant. There were all these reporters there. At first I thought somebody important had to be inside, like Shaquille O'Neal or Madonna. But then they all started taking pictures at me and yelling, "Princess Amelia, how does it feel to grow up in a single-parent household and find out your mom's ex has $300 million? And Princess, what kind of running shoes do you wear?" I totally forgot my whole fear of confrontation thing. I was mad. I turned to Grandmere in the car and said, "How did they know we were coming here?" Grandmere just dug around in her purse for her cigarettes. "Now, what did I do with that lighter?" she asked. "You called them, didn't you?" I was so mad I could hardly even see straight. "You called and told them where we were coming here." "Don't be ridiculous, Grandmere said. "I had no time to call all these people." "You didn't have to. You just have to call one and they'd all follow." "Grandmere, why?" Grandmere lit her cigarette. I hate it when she smokes in the car. "This is an important part of being royal, Amelia," she said between puffs. "You must learn to handle the press. Why are you taking on so?" "You're the one who told all that stuff to Carol Fernandez," I said, and totally calm. "Of course I did," Grandmere said with a sort of kind of so what shrug. "Grandma," I yelled, "how could you?" She looked totally taken aback. She said, "Don't call me Grandma." "Seriously?" I yelled. "Dad thinks Mr. Gianni did it. He and Mom had this totally big fight about it. She said it was you, but he wouldn't believe her." Grandmere blew cigarette smoke out of her nostrils. "Philippe," she said, "was always incredibly naive." "Well," I said, I'm telling him the truth." Grandma just waved her hand as if to say, "Whatever." "Seriously," I said, "I'm telling him. He's going to be really mad at you, Grandmere." "He won't. He needed the practice, darling. That piece in the Post was only the beginning. Soon you'll be on the cover of Vogue, and then—" "Grandmere," I yelled, "I do not want to be on the cover of Vogue. Don't you understand? I just want to pass 9th grade." Grandmere looked a little startled and said, "Well, all right, darling, all right. You needn't shout."
That was good.
As I said, somehow people really get into these. They're very impromptu and they're absolutely marvelous. So our next reader, I think, is going to be, thank you, Kathy, do you have to go?
Yeah, I have to.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Great,
Great job.
Thank you, great.
Good to meet you.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Okay, our next reading is, let's see, what state was that from, Dana?
Idaho.
Idaho.
House
Idaho, thank you. From Idaho, we're honoring romance novelist Rachel Gibson. She was born in Boise. She's been a fixture on the New York Times bestseller list since her writing debut in 1998 was simply irresistible. Known for her fast pacing and humor, she received the Rita Award, the Golden Heart Award, and the National Reader's Choice Award. Some of her works include Nothing But Trouble in 2010, Rescue Me, 2012, and Crazy Sweet Fine, 2013. Moscow, Idaho's Carol Ryer Brink is an author of young adult novels. Her first, Anything Can Happen on the River, published in 1934, was followed by over 20 more novels, several plays, and a poetry collection. In 1936, the Phi Beta Kappa won the Newbery Medal and the Lewis Carroll Shelf Award for her 1935 novel, Caddy Woodlawn, which she later turned into a 1945 stage play. Pulitzer Prize winner Marilyn Robinson, from whom Dr. Williams is going to read, was born in Sandpoint in 1943. She's a novelist and essayist. In 1980, she received the Hemingway Foundation Award for her best first novel for her book Housekeeping, which is what we're going to hear the excerpt from, which was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction. In 2005, Robinson was the recipient of the Pulitzer Prize for her novel Gilead. She has also won the Orange Prize for Fiction and the Ambassador Book Award. So now I'm going to introduce Dr. Williams, who will tell you a little about herself and read from Housekeeping.
My name is Dana Williams, and I'm chair of the Department of English at Howard University. Housekeeping is the story of Ruth and her younger sister, Lucille, who grew up haphazardly, first under the care of their competent grandmother, then of two comically bubbling great aunts, and finally of Sylvie, their eccentric and remote aunt. You may have noticed that people in bus stations, if they know you are alone, will glance at you sidelong with a look that is both piercing and intimate, and if you let them sit beside you, they will tell you long lies about numerous children who are all gone now, and mothers who were beautiful and cruel, and in every case they will tell you that they were abandoned, disappointed, or betrayed, that they should not be alone, that only remarkable events of the kind one reads in books could have made their condition so extreme. And that is why, even if the things they say are true, they have the quick eyes and active hands and passion for meticulous elaboration of people who know they are lying. Because once alone, it is impossible to believe that one could ever have been otherwise. Loneliness is an absolute discovery. When one looks from inside a lighted window or looks from above at the lake, one sees the image of oneself in a lighted room, the image of oneself among trees and sky. The deception is obvious, but flattering all the same. When one looks from the darkness into the light, however, one sees all the difference between here and there, this and that. Perhaps all unsheltered people are angry in their hearts and would like to break the roof, spine, and ribs and smash the windows, and flood the door, and spindle the curtains, and bloat the couch.
Thank you very much. And I believe, Dr. Harris, you're reading from Iowa, is that correct?
That's correct.
I think. The writers we're honoring from Iowa are Eleanor Hoyt Brainerd, 1868 to 1942. She was born in Iowa City. She published 10 novels in her lifetime, many written for young women. She worked as a columnist for several magazines, including Vanity Fair and Ladies' Home Journal. In 1919, she published a biography of her parents entitled Our Little Old Lady. Some of her other works include The Misdemeanors of Nancy, Bettina, and How Could You, Jane? The next novelist is the one I think we're going to hear the excerpt from, Stephen King favorite, Iowa City native Chelsea Kane, 1972, she's still living, began writing humorous books such as Does This Cape Make Me Look Fat? Pop Psychology for Superheroes, but she transitioned into thriller novels. Her popular Heartsick series, for which she received the Best Fiction Award from Amazon.com, was named 6th Best Book of the Year by horror bestseller Stephen King. That series has been translated into over 20 languages and is awaiting a film. The last writer from Iowa is Ames native Jane Espenson, 1964. She's still living. Like our videographer, she has won an Emmy, a Writers Guild of America Award, and an Indie Award for her television writing. She has worked on or produced popular television series, including Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Game of Thrones. She was a screenwriter or producer on cult television shows such as Firefly, True Calling, Battlestar Galactica, and Dollhouse. In 2003 and 2012, she won the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. In 2009, she won an Emmy Award for a short format live action entertainment program. I now give you Dr. Trudy Harris, who will say a word about herself and read from a work of Chelsea Kane. Thank you, Dr. Harris.
I am Trudy Harris, Professor of English at the University of Alabama. This is an excerpt from Heartsick, a novel about a serial killer. The novel is by Chelsea Kane. Claire got out of the car and walked over to one of the patrol cars. So you'd think that he works at one of the schools, Susan asked Anne. So do you like profiling? I'm good at it most of the time, and every workday is different. How did you get into it? I went to med school. So I decided to go into psychiatry. My husband's people are in Virginia. He got a job there and I needed one, and Quantico is looking to train some women in the dark arts. Turned out I wasn't bad at it. What makes a person do this sort of thing? There was a study of prisoners serving time for B and E. They asked them all the same question. Would you rather run into a dog or a person with a gun? You know what the majority of them said? She spun the soda can slowly in her palm. The person with the gun. The dog won't hesitate. The dog will rip your throat out every time. 8 times out of 10, you can wrestle a gun right out of the person's hands or just walk away. Know why? Because it's hard to shoot someone. Exactly. And that's broken in our guy. I don't think he works for the school district. I hope he does. Because if he does, we'll catch him. If he doesn't, I don't know. But how does it get broken? Nature, nurture, a combination. Take your pick. Susan hooked her clasped hands over her knee and leaned in even closer. But someone can break it for you, right? Like Gretchen Lowell did. How did she do that? How did she get people to kill for her? She's a master manipulator. Psychopaths very often are. She chose particularly vulnerable men. And she tortured them? No, Anne said. Much more foolproof. She used sex.
Thank you. And our last group of women writers, we don't have an excerpt from a writer in that group, but they're from Illinois. I did try and get one of the books, but it was only obtainable through the interlibrary loan, and it had to be gotten from an archive somewhere, so I do not have an excerpt, but I will read the women writers that we're honoring from Illinois. Leslie Ullman, whose work has been published in the New Yorker and the Kenyon Review, has been writing poetry for over 4 decades. She's a 2-time recipient of the National Endowment of the Arts Fellowship Award, and in 1997, she received the Iowa Poetry Prize for her collection Slow Work Through Sand. That's the one I ordered through Interlibrary Loan, but have not yet received. For 27 years, she taught creative writing at the University of Texas, El Paso. She teaches skiing in Taos, where she spends winters. Second woman writer from Illinois, born in Evanston, Kim Yale, 1953 to 1997, is a writer and editor of comic books, and is Autumn's first honoree in the category of graphic novels. Though her career was prematurely ended due to her very untimely death from breast cancer, Yale left a lasting mark on the world of comics. She has written for the most esteemed publications in that genre, including DC Comics and Marvel. Yale also worked with the Friends of Lulu organization, which promotes women in comics. The group created the Kimberly Yale Award for Best New Talent to honor Yale's contribution to the comic industry. And the last woman we're honoring this month in Autumn's 50 State Project is Kira Salek. She was born in 1974 in Chicago. She's a journalist and nonfiction writer. Though best known for thrill-seeking adventures, Salek has made a name for herself in the literary world. She has published 3 books and appeared in Best American Travel Writing 5 times. She has been awarded the Penn Award for Journalism and the Prague Fellowship Award in Creative Nonfiction. Salek is also a 2-time winner of the Lowell Thomas Gold Award for Best Foreign Article. So thank you again to these wonderful women, all 3 of them who had no rehearsal and who did fabulous jobs and were just great, and Autumn thanks them very much. This is the end of our 50 State Project for the month of May. Thank you.